Hey everyone, thanks for watching right here on YouTube. If you love these deck techs and you want to help support the show, go down, hit subscribe. That's the very easy, low-cost way to do it. If you want to spend a little bit, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew. Help us make the show. From a financial standpoint, it would be very helpful. You can get access to our Discord and some other perks as well. For example, this deck was helped brewed on our Discord channel, so you can get to be a part of that. But let's get to this week's deck tech. Very exciting. Brand new Commander 2019. Sean, what are we dealing with?
Oh my goodness. It's Marisi, Breaker of the Coil. 1 red, green, white, Cat Warrior, 5/4. Your opponents can't cast spells during combat. That'll be one that's very important to remember in case people try to do that, right? I think your opponents will likely forget that that's on there and try to do things. This is when you'll need to be ready with your argument for whether rewinds are allowed or not. Right? I'm going to flash this in and block. It's like, oh, you can't cast spells during combat. Can I rewind then to before combat? It's like, well, that's a discussion we'll have later, but we're not here for that. The main ability is also the reason we brewed up this deck. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. And if you don't remember what goad is, all the goaded creatures have to attack a player that is not you. If you are the only player left, they have to attack you.
And that lasts until your next turn.
Until your next turn.
Basically, the next time they would attack, they have to attack, and it can't be you.
Yeah. And so I had the help of some of our people in Discord help me brew this one up. It was super fun. We came up with quite a few angles to go. There was a while there where I was like, oh, I'm not sure which way this goes. And some really neat angles that I think were presented that, unfortunately, we cannot brew up all of them, but I want to thank everyone in Discord for doing that. If you are in our Discord, please check out some of those other brew angles. There's some pretty neat ones in there. But here's what we're doing with this one. Let's just get right into it. So mainly, obviously, we want to be hitting our opponents because we want to be goading all of their creatures. So once the creatures get goaded once, they will have to be attacking. And unless they have vigilance, they will largely be tapped unless they play creatures after their combat phase. But hopefully we can outpace that and we can keep the goading running. That's the goal. Like once you start goading everybody, you just keep them goaded forever until it's just you and someone else.
Right, because then all their creatures are tapped ideally, and it's very difficult for them to block and so on.
Yes. Cool. So let's get into some neat moves.
Working on a
neat
moves.
Want to talk about Marisi's lieutenants, literally. Loyal Unicorn. It's becoming a favorite of mine. 3 and a white for the Vigilant 3/4. And as Lieutenant, so at the beginning of combat, all your creatures get Vigilance and they can't take combat damage. That's perfect for this deck. Having your team be vigilant, having vigilance is great because we are not tapped, just in case people get mad at us and like, well, I'm going to attack you with whatever I can. If I cast it after combat, maybe I cast a haste creature. We've got vigilance, no problem. Also, this helps Marisi so nicely because sometimes we're like, well, I don't have a good attack. I'm going to have to attack with 3 or 4 creatures. 2 of them are going to get eaten, but I will goad you with that third one. You can't block all 3. In this way, we can do those attacks freely and none of our creatures will die because of it. It's the best.
And Tyrant's familiar also. Another lieutenant. The 5 red 5/5 dragon with flying and haste, and as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and whenever it attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. Great way to not only get through in the air with a giant 7/7 with haste. The haste is probably going to be enough to do it, but you can even hit something that maybe a troublesome blocker, if like another blocker in the air, for example, or something like that, and guarantee that we're going to get through, or just take out like a tough creature to deal with. Because 7 damage is usually enough to take out something you care about a lot.
Most things, for sure.
Most things.
So let's talk about some foot soldiers. These are the little creatures that we want these creatures down early because they're a little bit evasive. They help us attack. And so we want to drop Marisi after we drop these and start goading right away. So I'm talking about Tin Street Dodger. Tin Street Dodger costs red. It's a 1/1 with haste. And it has red, can't be blocked except by creatures with Defender. There are very many boards where that reads as unblockable.
Yeah, for sure. And at least you'll be able to find one opponent that doesn't have a defender. Like even if you randomly did have like, oh, this guy's got a defender and this guy's got a defender, it's like, what are the odds everyone has a defender? It's quite low.
Sure. And like once you, and like this is what I'm saying, all 10th Street Dodger has to get through to one. That 1 point is enough to go the whole team.
Yeah, exactly. Solana Ledgewalker, also another good low curve evasive creature. 1 and a green for a 1/1 with hexproof, and it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So basically has the green version of flying. They should name that. They should call it like
Canopy.
Yeah, like Roof Walker.
Sure.
I guess
except by right. So yeah,
Ledge Walker, Roof Walk.
Yeah.
But that would be if your opponent has a roof, you can't be blocked.
What about gliding?
Gliding? Yeah, like a flying squirrel.
Yeah, like I can't like fly, truly fly, but I can glide over your floor blockers.
Yeah, so Solana Ledgewalker has gliding, and that just means it's a nice little evasive thing that was going to get this low curve creature through.
Yeah,
on a lot of boards.
And I want to talk about Soltari Visionary. This uses the shadow mechanic, which is a fantastic ability. Underused. I think it's underrated in Commander. I guess you need a deck that supports it, but this deck wants that. 1 white for a shadow 2/2, which means it can only block creatures with shadow and can only be blocked by creatures with shadow, which effectively means unblockable. Can't block, so that's kind of a thing if you care, but I don't expect we'll be attacked much in this match anyway. And here's the cool text. If it damages any player, destroy target enchantment that player controls. It's enchantment removal that can't be blocked, and your opponents can't cast spells during combat, so if they have to know to save their removal for like before that. If they are reading cards and intelligent, they can do that. That shouldn't be difficult. But Marisi, like this now says destroy an enchantment and goad their whole team, which makes it amazing.
This is I can just see games where, because Marisi's out and you can't your opponents can't cast spells during combat, you have a good enchantment and you're like, okay, are you going to attack me with that Soltari Visionary? Like before we go to combat, are you going to attack me with that? That's going to put the decision on you politically to be like, are you going to tell them the truth?
Right.
Are you going to attack them or not? It's like, if you plan on to, it's like, I mean, if you say yes, you're going to kill it. If you say like, no, then you do. Ooh, that has some political repercussions. It's straight up lying.
Yeah.
So like, are you, it's up to you if you think that's worth it, but it's going to put that pressure on you, I think, to make those types of moves, because otherwise they're just going to destroy it. They don't want that out there. I mean, if you're the person asking that, you should probably just destroy it anyways.
I think so, because I have to call your bluff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because if I was the defending player, I would have to ask like, hey man, who are you planning on attacking with that Soltari Visionary? Just to put the fear in your mind that I might destroy it, right? So like then at that point you're just like, oh, I don't know.
and it's weird because like at that point it's like you kind of got to make them have it, but or you go, well, I won't come at you, and I'll hit some of the other enchantments around. Anyways, classic political moves that you'll need to look out for when dealing with before the combat step.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. This deck also has a bunch of planeswalkers in it, which is I feel like rare for a Shantabaris deck, but I'm excited that they're here.
Well, this deck is the perfect one for planeswalkers, because what's the problem with planeswalkers, right? They get targeted real early, they get targeted often, your opponents will not let them stick around, and they do that through creature combat. But if all your opponent's creatures are goaded, they don't get to attack your planeswalkers.
Are you sure?
Yeah. They have to attack a player that is not you, if able.
Those creatures attack each combat and attack a player. Ooh, that's true. So I was reading it as like they can't attack you, the player.
No, it's a they must do this. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they can't even attack. Technically, they can't even attack other players' planeswalkers, right?
That's also true. So you're protecting other super friends if you go in teams. But I mean, what's the best way to kill planeswalkers? Kill the player that controls them.
Exactly.
Right. So leading off is Johnny the Great-Hearted, 2 green white. This is the rare one from War of the Spark. It starts with 5 loyalty. You can +1 to gain 3 life. We don't care about that. We care that the static says all our creatures have vigilance. And if we want to, we can -2 to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker. So Johnny pumps up other planeswalkers, pumps up our team. Again, making your team bigger helps for those cases where you're like, it's a tight fit. I need to get through on combat because I need to goad you, but your creature outclasses me by a little bit. Well, Johnny helps turn those tables.
It's weird that in a deck where you're goading, you still want vigilance, but you do, right? Like it's a bit redundant, but I think it's still like something you want because
You do.
because you're going to be attacking a lot, and if you're tapped, now ideally you're goading everyone so they can't even attack you anyways. But that's kind of an ideal situation, right? There's going to be someone that you're not going to be able to get through, and then you like if you just spent all your all your creatures attacking, and now you're open, they're just going to come after you.
Right. You will get some enemies at the table
Yeah.
by taking this strategy.
Yeah, so that's why I also like the vigilance, because it seems like kind of a non-bow. It's like, well, I've attacked you, you're all goaded, no one can attack me anyways, but and I have vigilance for some reason. Like, but that's kind of an ideal situation. That's not really going to happen, I don't think, that often.
Yeah.
Next Planeswalker is Nahiri, Storm of the Stone. She's the 2 hybrid and 2 hybrid Boros, so 4 in total. 6 loyalty Planeswalker. As long as it's your turn, creatures you control have first strike, and equip abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. That's relevant. That is a good commander ability. That is a thing that I know no one ever paid attention to at War of the Spark, but is pretty solid for commander. First strike is always great in a deck that wants to attack and defend, for that matter, if you got your vigilant creatures back.
But it only works on your turn, though. You only
That's right. You're right. Yeah, first strike is arguably better on defense, but in this case, she's only giving it to you for your attacking. And then the -X is nice because it's going to be dealing damage to tapped creatures, and if there's a real troublesome utility creature that you make attack, but somehow like if maybe it's evasive somehow or something like that, it'll be nice to get rid of those creatures in a pinch.
Yeah. And another one I want to highlight is Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. Another rare, 2 and a green, 4 loyalty. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. Always a useful ability. If there's a combat heavy board, that is a scary ability to attack into. So this is another way to deter our opponents. But also +1 until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gains vigilance and reach. So the reach is also an important part of that in case there's an opposing flyer coming at you. The -2 is to look at the top 3 cards. You exile 1, put the rest on the bottom, and if that 1 is a creature, you can cast it later. But even if you don't hit a creature, you still exile 1, and your opponents will always wonder if that was a creature.
Yeah, they will always wonder.
Yeah, so just a few Planeswalkers to throw in there because I think it works very well with the strategy. And these, I've chose Planeswalkers that are not so oppressive that they will demand all the attention first.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. It's something that they're not real super threatening. Like, they alone can't just win you the game, right?
Right.
Like, a Johnny is buffing up your team, and maybe that's gonna grab a little bit of attention, but I think, and we know the power of playing creatures that flash, but like that alone doesn't actually just win you the game or anything like that. So yeah, I think you did a good job in choosing.
Well, let's not forget to, I don't think I mentioned this. Sometimes it's down to you and one other person, and every time you go them, they have to attack you with everybody.
That's true.
Right? So that also protects your Planeswalkers. They have to attack you, I think. I have to look that one up. But this is where Vigilance and Reach becomes extra effective.
Yeah, it's until your next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able.
So I guess if that's not, then they can. So the
attack a player other than you if able.
So that clause we will ignore because they're not able.
So then I guess they can
so
just attack whoever they want.
Only remaining clause is they must attack if able.
Right.
Okay. So it does not protect our Planeswalkers in a 1v1, but that's where the Vigilance and the Reach comes in.
Or it's a player other than you. The other than you part gets ignored, and it's a player that is you.
Wait, isn't it 2 things?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Whatever it is, they get to attack and
yeah, there's 2 clauses. So until your next turn, clause 1, those creatures attack each combat if able. That's 1. And then the next part is and attack a player other than you if able. So if the second one isn't, then they just attack.
Okay. Well, speaking of attacking, there's going to be a lot of it going around. So you might as well buff up your opponent's creatures because they're fighting each other.
Yeah.
And a classic Naya way to do that is Gahiji, Honored One. The 2 red, green, white, 4/4 legendary beast. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents or a planeswalker an opponent controls, that creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Effective.
Yeah.
We've seen this as a commander in a lot of like token decks and stuff, but this is a great move in a deck where you're forcing everyone to attack.
Yeah, sometimes Gehiji's out and your opponents don't want to attack each other because they'd rather turn that hate on you, but they don't have the choice.
They don't have the choice, exactly.
I'm a big fan of Duelist Heritage also. It's the enchantment that's 2 and a white. And at the beginning of combat, you just pick any attacking creature and you get to give it double strike until end of turn. At the beginning of every combat, that could be one of your creatures if you're getting into combat. That could be an opponent's creature if he's attacking somebody else. And that happens after attacks are declared. So you get to see is like, oh, you're attacking, if player A is attacking player B with something with trample. Yeah, I'll give it double strike. No problem.
Yeah, whenever one or more creatures attack, you can have a target. Man, this card is excellent when you're doing this. This card's good enough on its own just to give your own creatures double strike if that's something you want. But in this version where you guaranteeing that other players' creatures are attacking, Duelist Heritage is really, really good.
Yeah.
You can like buff up and kill like buff up a commander, and help them deal commander damage and take someone out that way.
Yeah, you have to manage like I mean, it depends. I've not played this with real human beings. I've only tested it with idiot bots. But part of it is like you might not want to if someone has a huge board, you want to goad them because you don't want that board coming at you. Mm-hmm. But there are times where it's like, well, I don't want you just straight up destroying this other person immediately because I want them alive for more goading. Like because once you're the last person, you better have the tools to beat that other person.
Yeah, that seems like it's very important. If someone does get out way ahead, like, are you goading them because you don't want them to come at you, but at the same time you don't want them to just wipe everyone out so that you're the only one left? Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what if they have some defense, right? And here's where Nahiri's ability will come in. We've got a couple of pieces of equipment here. These are not the only equipments in the deck. Kusarigama, it's a 3 mana equipment, and it says equipped creature has 2. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So it's like Fire of Breathing for 2 mana. And whenever equipped creature deals damage to a blocking creature, Kusarigama deals that much damage to each other creature defending player controls. And it equips for 3. So if we have a board where it's like, well, you can either let me goad your team or lose your whole team, right? Because I'm going to attack with this thing. And if you block it, Kusarigama will just do damage to your whole team and probably give you a full board wipe. So which would you like?
Yeah, that's going to incentivize just letting it through.
And the beauty is like, that's the thing. Like once you present them with the option, they're like, oh, I guess I could remove Marisi in response so the goading won't happen. No. Can't cast a spell during combat.
That's right. Very important.
Yes.
That's why you want to cast spells before combat if you're the opponent. Obviously. That makes it tough, man. Noble Quarry is also in the deck. The 2 and a green enchantment creature that has Bestow for 5 and a green. It's a 1/1, and if you and all creatures are able to block it, do so. And if it's an enchantment, if you bestow it, the enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and that ability. Right?
It's like a lure. Yeah.
Right, or enchanted creature. So it's a classic lore, right? So everyone has to block the thing that Noble Quarry is on, and then everything else gets through. It's great.
Yeah, great.
This can help you. This is one that can actually help you finish the game, also.
For sure.
If you've got the power to just finish them off, then Noble Quarry is going to be helpful for there.
Gehiji does well there. I also like Trailblazer's Boots. We overlook this one a lot. It doesn't do anything but give. It's a 2 mana equipment. It equips for 2. Equips for 1 if you have Nahiri. And equipped creature has non-basic land walk. So I looked for ways to do island walk or things, but I was never satisfied because you just never know. Because maybe they don't have. Maybe you end up in that weird table where no one plays blue. Or even if you do, maybe they play multicolor and they have only non-basic lands that aren't islands, like tap lands and fetch lands and things like this. So then the Trailblazers Boots are just well, everybody has non-basics. I don't care what the deck is. I never see a deck without non-basics. So Trailblazers Boots, guaranteed unblockability.
Yeah, I actually, I recently brewed up a deck for next week's episode and used this card in that as well. So Trailblazers Boots, effective, evasion in Commander, no
Yep.
question. Well, there you go. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing with Marisi. Were there any surprises and discoveries when you were looking up all this stuff?
There was. I was looking at trample. I was looking at like ways because we are allowed to do combat tricks, even though our opponents are not. And this one's perfect. It's ride down, red, white, instant, destroy target blocking creature. Creatures that were blocked by that creature gain trample until end of turn. So if you're trampling and so if you get blocked and then the blocking creature dies and you don't have trample, you still do no damage. But ride down solves all the problems. I can attack with a couple of piddly things, and you'll be like, well, I guess I can stop goading if I block all of them. It's like, well, I'm glad you did because now I get to destroy your best thing, and I'm still goading you.
Yeah, and I love the way ride down works with. If it's a single blocker, the creature just effectively gets through. And if it's multiple blockers, you're going to blow them out because you destroy one, killing everything else, and you're still likely going to get the trample damage through to goad.
Yeah.
This is, for some reason, these are Boros spells that I think are underrated, is Ride Down and Deflecting Palm.
Yeah.
They're two mana instant speed spells that I think are very useful in Commander decks, especially obviously Boros decks. But I just love Ride Down. Seeing you include this in the deck, I was like, oh yeah, Ride Down. I remember this card. It's so good. Like
it's very good.
This is the difference sometimes. Like this can be the difference in games sometimes. Like you can be swinging in for lethal, and they're like, well, whatever. I got a whole board of tokens. Like I'll just chump block with a token, and then you just Ride Down. Forget it, or anything, right? Any blocker. Like they could have a 10/10. You're attacking them, with 5 damage. That's going to kill them, and then bam, Ride Down. It's over.
Yeah, Marisi doesn't trample. So, like, they're like, okay, I'll chump your commander. It's like, well, now you're also taking commander damage, so thank you.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly useful card for attacking strategies. So,
yeah,
Ride Down's a great one to be reminded of. But I think that means it's time now for the budget report.
This is we take all of the cards and we put a quarter on them. And the ones with a quarter on them have to give their quarters to all the other cards.
Oh, what? No, those are my commander's quarters.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Hi, Mitch.
How did we look for as far as budget goes this time?
Not bad. This is an $89 deck.
Nice.
There's a few of these cards are definitely the most expensive, and I think they're all. I mean, they're tough to cut, but I think you could. Okay. Miri Weatherlight Duelist is the toughest one. It's the most expensive card. It has the most unique ability. It's the commander from C17. 1 green, white, legendary cat warrior, first strike 3/2. Whenever Miri attacks, each opponent can't block with more than one creature this combat. That is to say, if you attack with Miri and if you attack a player with Miri and one other creature, one of those is getting through to be goaded 100% of the time. Like they can only block with one. Yeah. There are other symmetrical effects that says every player can only attack or block with one, but that doesn't help us. We want to attack with more than they can defend with. And it also says as long as Miri is tapped, no more than one creature can attack you each combat. So that's also very useful for when we're down to 1v1 or maybe we haven't been able to goad people. It makes it so they can't attack us very easily. Miri is $9.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. I guess that's just kind of the cost that ends up happening after a few years with these commander.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's been 2 years since it's been printed. It's foil. It's only in those decks, so I guess it's going to go up because people want to build a deck around it.
I mean, it also has the ability, Miri also has the ability that if you have any way to give menace to a creature, that means it's fully unblockable.
Right, yeah. Those are key. Those are key things when you get that little combo happening.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Disrupt Decorum, 2 and 2 red for the sorcery that just says goad all creatures you don't control. This card is up to $7, more than 7, almost $8.
Yeah.
This is wild. This was a rare, same thing, Commander 2017. And I personally would think that this isn't a card that would see much play. Like this is a one-time effect. It's a very cool and like unique effect, but I wouldn't expect this card to be like expensive at all. But I guess just because of the like the fact that it's only available from the commander decks. I guess that's it. I guess. Like, what
Yeah.
decks are running this? I don't know.
This was only in the Edgar Markov one, which also had Teferi's Protection, I think,
Yes,
and
it did,
Edgar
yeah.
himself. So, like, this deck was a highly sought-after deck. I wonder if that isn't just a factor that, like, well, this deck is hard to find and in high demand, so all of the cards are a little bit more expensive. It's a very fun card. Goad is very fun. That's why I wanted to brew up this deck, and this is the only, like, this was the only good Goad card that existed before now.
Yeah, that's true. It is true. Maybe that's why. Maybe because it was the only good. And maybe, I mean, did it rise in price maybe after Marisi was announced?
I didn't notice. I haven't looked at the price trend.
I'll take a look.
Okay, I'll talk about the next most expensive card. It's another Planeswalker. This one is the most cuttable. 2 red, white for the other Nihiri. Starts with 4. You can +2 to discard a card and draw a card. You can -2 to exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature. This is sort of an amped up version of the other Nihiri. You get to exile things instead of doing damage to things, and it also hits tapped artifacts and enchantments, which is excellent. And the -8, if you ever get there, you get to search for an artifact or creature, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. It gains haste, great with Marisi, and then you can return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. I don't love that ability in this deck. That's not what it's there. I would happily grab the Tyrant's Familiar, right? Like the I'll happily use it, but it's mainly in there for the -2 to exile tapped things because I expect to see tapped things. But Nihiri is like 550 depending where you shop for it, so I think it's a fairly cuttable card.
Yeah, I'd say so. I just looking at it, Disruptive Quorum apparently spiked after M19 was released. That's weird. I wonder, maybe there was a commander in there that made sense, that made that happen.
I don't know.
What about favorite cards? I will tell you that I really like the Loyal Apprentice. We talked about Curve and all that kind of stuff. Well, Loyal Apprentice is a great 2-drop, 2/1. It's got haste. It creates a 1/1 Thopter if you have Lieutenant. So if your commander's out, beginning of combat makes a Thopter, and that Thopter gets haste. So this is good either before your commander comes out or after, right? This is because it itself has haste as well, so you can get in and goad. You can, the Thopter's going to be able to get in and goad usually because it's a 1/1 flyer with haste. Like, this is perfect. This is the perfect little goad enabler. And it's also going to be able to join the team of creatures going at someone to try and goad their team. And, like, you don't care if a 1/1 Thopter dies, obviously, right? You're getting that replaced every turn. So that's so key. I really love the use of the Lieutenant mechanic in this deck because, well, you always want Marisi out, and therefore, you know, you're probably that's going to be a high priority for you. So that means you're probably going to be able to activate the Lieutenant triggered abilities a lot. So love Loyal Apprentice.
I think so. My favorite card in the deck is Kinjali's Sunwing from this is from Ixalan. It's the 2 and a white dinosaur, 2/3 flying. This is creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. This is just the icing on the cake. So they can't even put in defenders post combat because they will enter tapped. If they have a hasty creature and they want to aim them at you, doesn't matter, they enter tapped, and you're gonna goad them anyway. So like if you have a Sunwing down, it's gonna be hard for your opponents to get out of the goad lock.
This is definitely an underrated ability in Commander. I know you also have Thalia, which I think does it for creatures and non-basic lands.
Yes.
Also in the deck. So like, ooh man, this is a better ability than it looks like. I mean, not that it doesn't look bad or anything. There's a what's the white enchantment that people always run that does this?
Ooh.
With Extort.
It's not Rest in Peace. It's a person on a throne, person in a chair.
Person on a throne, person bowing. Whatever. Anyways, with Extort. Anyways, obviously that card's really popular, even though I don't know the name of it. But it's really, really great. And I do think it's kind of an underrated ability, even if we're looking on creatures and stuff like that too.
And the reason I like Kinjali's Sunwing the best out of those three is because it also flies.
Yeah,
and it has 2 powers, so that it helps goad future boards better too.
It also is an evasive threat. Yeah.
And so we talked about your favorite card. We talked about our favorite card. I want to add a favorite card that was suggested through our Discord while we were helping brew this deck. And I want to give a shout out to someone in our Discord, Jamon, who threw the suggestion of Siege Behemoth forward. Siege Behemoth is a 5 green beast. It's 7/4 with hexproof. I forgot it had hexproof. That's excellent. Can't mess around with it. As long as it's attacking, for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. That does combat damage. So you can throw one single Thopter at somebody. They will block it. You'll say, well, Siege Behemoth also has to go to another creature. So you got Siege Behemoth going one way, you got a dumb Thopter going another way, and that Thopter is going to do its combat damage no matter what. So thank you, Jamon. What a great find.
Love that find. Love that one. That's great. Well, there you go. That's it. That's the deck.
That's the deck. Can't wait to play it. Looks really fun. I love Goad, and I'm glad they gave us a few more cards for it.
Yeah, reaching back into that like conspiracy bucket of tricks and pulling out some fun things, whether it's conspiracy or like maybe there's some battle bond mechanics, anything like that. I love when they do that and they bring them back. So, and I keep saying it, but I do love the commanders in the current commander set, and Marisi is no exception. It's a cool, fun build around commander. Sean, I think you did a great job with it.
Thanks. And so just a reminder, you can go, if you're a Canadian listener, you can use our coupon code to look up this deck and get a discount on ordering the cards through our Wizard Tower link. So you're going to go to mtgcanada.com to find that deck list there. And if you're not a Canadian listener, you can check out the link below to go to the TCG Player affiliate link and buy your cards that way.
Yeah, go check it out. If you want to pick up any of these cards for your decks, that would be a very fun and easy way to help support the show. But until next time, we'll see everyone later. Have fun brewing. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.